Ben McKee, Patrick Brown, Go Vols 24/7 here following Tennessee's first day of fall camp. And Patrick, it seemed like a good day for the Vols because practicing it early, and Josh Heupel seemed pretty content considering he's the head football coach of an SEC program.
Yeah, Ben, when you get sort of the notification that practice is ending early, your first thought is someone got hurt or it went so well that they're like, we're good, we could just go home.
15-0 national
right,
champs.
Right, and I think it was more that. We haven't heard anything about anybody getting hurt or anything like that. So everyone can calm down before everyone freaks out. But yeah, one of his answers to your question was just how much the retention was for this team from the spring, which is, as a coach, that's exactly what you want to see. You want to see a pretty clean practice. You know, your new guys that are out here for the first time, they don't have a clue what they're doing, but a lot of the returning players and freshmen that were here in the spring seem to please Heupel and please the coaching staff from what they saw today.
Yeah, he seemed pretty content with it being a clean day at the office, and the retention rate, like you just mentioned. I also thought, just myself, observing practice, I mean, there weren't a ton of footballs on the ground. Guys were where they needed to be. It looked like a team that was in the third year of a program compared to first fall camp or even the second fall camp.
Yeah, and this looks like an SEC football team. There's got a lot of good-looking athletes on this football team, and guys that have gained weight, maybe leaned up a little bit over the course of the offseason. Kurt Schmidt's a guy in this program that doesn't get a lot of pub. I think part of that is on purpose. He doesn't do any interviews. A lot of Tennessee's former strength coaches have. He doesn't, but the results are out there on the field, and they're pretty impressive. There's a lot of, especially young guys, that really look the part, and this is a good-looking football team that's got a lot of competition, and I think a lot of people in the program think a lot of talent as well.
Yeah, we saw 8 periods of practice today, which is more than we will see the rest of the season. But still, in the grand scheme of things, that's not a ton of practice that we get to see, so take it with a grain of salt. But I thought both Joe Milton and Nico Iamaleava looked good. And the receiver I was most impressed with was Ramel Keaton.
Yeah, I thought Jacob Bourne had a good day too. There were a couple of defensive backs that we got to see some one-on-ones and some releases. A couple guys were really handsy, grabby, things like that. I think Jordan Matthews did have one interception in a one-on-one period. So, yeah, this is a team that's, there's a lot of competition among position groups, but also, from offense to defense, and some of these guys are going to get better from going against the caliber of wide receiver they're going to play. And the caliber of defensive linemen they're going to play and things like that. So, but to your point, Ramel Keaton looked good. I thought Jacob Warren looked like a guy that's been around, that knows what he's doing, and those are a couple guys that stood out to both you and I.
Yeah, and I liked what you said earlier. It looked more like an SEC football team, and not to say that it didn't last year, right? Like, they won 11 games and beat some of the premier teams in the league, but from top to bottom, it looks more like an SEC football team. And then I think the thing that we need to mention last is we talked a lot about leadership yesterday, and we didn't really talk about Jalen McCullough, and maybe we should have, because he was the guy that was very loud all throughout practice, and he's the guy that broke the team down as practice was beginning.
Yeah, and going back to what you said about this team looking good, today's the eye test. Guys are running around in helmets. It's just sort of the natural first-day reaction. To your point about McCullough, saw him coaching up a couple younger guys during some drills, kind of say, hey, kind of mirroring his footwork, trying to get him to do it the right way. And Mary McDonald was another guy who was doing that with John Slaughter, who's a freshman safety. So McCullough's a guy that has a voice on this team. Heupel and the coaches seem to like the leadership they've got on this team, and you saw that out there today.
Absolutely. We've got plenty of coverage up at GoVols247.com of Tennessee's first practice of fall camp, and we'll be back here tomorrow for practice number 2. He's Patrick Brown. I'm Ben McKee.